Alright, for my project I decided to compare Lawrence County versus Brown County in South Dakota. This is the data that I collected starting August 19th, and I went all the way until October 2nd. The areas are fairly similar in size for South Dakota, but Brown County is definitely the larger of the two. I chose to compare these two areas because I go to college in Lawrence County and my girlfriend goes to college in Brown County, so I thought it would be interesting to compare the two areas. I'm hoping that they're comparable enough in size that it's not too far, doesn't affect the results too much, but that's definitely something that could have had an effect on the data. So my first graph I made has both counties with this top blue line here representing Lawrence County. There were a lot of outliers in Lawrence County. Anything up here above 100% is something that I would call an outlier. So that makes Lawrence County's look a lot worse. But right here is just Lawrence County by itself. And as you can see, testing has gone up, and so the positivity rate looks like it's going down. In Brown County, even with this, its positivity rate has remained almost constant this entire time. This one day is the only real outlier. But I would say that this downward trending line for Lawrence County is definitely a result of an increase in testing rather than a decrease in cases from what I've seen in the data and on campus. For here in Lawrence County, the testing started, total tests was in the 20s, fairly low numbers for tests per day. But then towards the end of my data collection, they were getting up towards 70, 100, 700. The numbers started going way up. So that has a lot to do with the downward trending line. Then we have this website here. Here we have South Dakota. It shows that South Dakota is one of the 35 states that is far below the target for tests. Now, as a whole, it would appear that our country is falling well below the tests that the CDC would like to be doing or thinks that we should be doing. If that's what they think, I would have to agree, because testing is definitely more important. I know a lot of people don't get tested unless they think it's serious, and a lot of people get by untested because they're asymptomatic. I think COVID testing across the US is kind of relatable to my downward trending line in Lawrence County because a lot more testing, testing is starting to get ramped up in more and more places. And while that happens, it might look like some of the positivity rates are trending down, even though cases aren't going down, or they might be increasing even. But an increase in cases can also be due to the fact that we're just testing more. So those are all things to think about. This information affects the public because people need to stay informed. They need to know what's going on. Some people might not want to go to certain places because of this. So if so, I know a lot of people from my home county, Hardin County, they've experienced very little activity, so they try not to leave and go to other counties that have been more heavily affected by COVID. Healthcare professionals need to know this information, obvious for obvious reasons. This directly affects them in the healthcare industry and hospitals. And the whole point of trying to flatten the curve is so that hospitals don't get affected or overpacked with cases. Politically, with government officials and everything, it's been used in a lot of things, but I've heard people tell me that it's gonna go away after the election, but this is science. It has nothing to do with politics. It'll probably, hopefully, just be used as an excuse or things like that less in politics, and hopefully politicians focus more on solving the problem instead of pointing fingers.